Aloha, this is Hope Johnson with Wisdom Dialogues. Today is November 9th, day after the presidential election, amongst other things. And welcome. Thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure to be here with you in person and later on watching this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. I'm going to go to Nicole and see what she'd like to talk about today.
Mm.
Aloha.
Hey, Hope. Uh,
Hi, Nicole. How are you doing?
I think I'm doing, it seems like I'm doing really well. Um, yeah, but I'm just noticing it seems like my significant other fights a lot with me
Okay.
and gets irritated with me. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah. Yeah, awesome. I'm learning that it's awesome. I started reading a little bit of A Course in Miracles and the Disappearance of the Universe. So
Okay.
it's starting to become clear that that's not something for me to believe is real, but it feels so real in the moment. And so I'm just
Sure.
wondering what your input would be on that.
Well, the way anything like that happens is through the subconscious mind. So it's always happening through your own perception. It's always you and you. The relationship's always you and you, right? So it's like when there's someone else to be perceived as being irritated with you, how are you taking that? How is that being processed? See, because it's always coming from you. It's always coming from the mind that's within and projected outward. So it's always a sort of a dance where you're perceiving someone being irritated with you, and to notice that it's you irritated with you. It's really to get right down to it, it's you irritated with that belief that you're separate from the source. It's what's hidden being brought to the surface. So whenever we project and make it seem like it's the other person that's irritated, or we did something to irritate them, actually, that's avoiding it. To go through it is just to feel what's there, to feel that irritation that's there in our own body. Have you experienced anything like that?
Um, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when
So
you go ahead.
I was just gonna say most of the time that I can remember recently, I felt really guilty and sad, and I
Uh-huh.
felt like I needed to change something, like I wasn't doing something right. But like everything that has come into my experience and I've learned
Uh-huh.
has taught me, basically what you're saying, just not as in depth. So
Uh-huh.
I didn't know the reason before. I just kind of knew that it wasn't me, that it was just I would hear a reflection of me. To take it personally was not true. But more recently, like last night, um, I just knew. I knew that it wasn't the truth, and
Uh-huh.
so I just tried to focus on love instead of him being upset with me or me doing anything wrong.
Uh-huh.
So it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, when you really just experience those sensations in the body. Because all those different kinds of thoughts that try to get you to justify yourself or say that you did something wrong in either direction, saying that he's not in touch or whatever is coming up, it's all trying to avoid. And if there's just that willingness to feel whatever's coming up in the body, that's how everything gets learned. That's how the subconscious conscious mind sees the error. Because this veil is what keeps the error hidden. And the error that I'm speaking to is that one that says that we're separate from source.
Yeah.
Basically, it's fear.
Yeah, the biggest thought I have is that he's we can't be together because he's not as advanced, which makes me laugh when it comes up, but it does.
That's
And
great.
yeah, so I'm having those moments where I feel things and have thoughts about them, and I just allow them to be felt, which is not as painful as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's
It's
actually
very
not painful at all.
powerful. What did you say?
No, it's actually not painful at all. It's really liberating.
Yes, and that's right. It's like there's this fear. Basically, fear is pain. Fear, the manifestation of fear is pain. So it's like if there's a fear of looking at it, that's what's causing the pain. When there's just straight up looking at it without the thoughts about it, because the thoughts are what's causing the fear and the pain, then it's not painful at all. It's exhilarating.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where the transformation happens. And then, also it's noticed that it doesn't even matter if the relationship keeps going or not. It really doesn't make any difference because it all comes down to right now. The more there's this willingness to see, there's more willingness to be with whatever is arising, embracing anything that's arising right now. So then there's no attachment to any relationship. And that's total freedom. That's total freedom to just be happy with with whoever is hanging out with you. So there's
Yeah.
not fear of them leaving or you losing them or them treating you wrongly or anything like that.
Yeah. I've started to experience that a little bit as well, a little bit deeper too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's sweet. What a way to get along with somebody, huh?
I know.
It's totally free.
Yeah, it's just getting easier and easier
Yeah.
with everyone.
Yeah, with everyone and everything too. If you notice, we're in relationship with everything.
Hmm.
Everything that's perceived. So every little thing is that opportunity, you know.
I started laughing at myself when I would just want to get away from him. Like, oh, I'll just leave,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and it, from listening to you and my own experience, it's not gonna work that way. I can't
Right.
just get away from them. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. Just knowing that wherever you go, whatever you do, it's like there you are again.
That's what that book meant. I bought that book by somebody years ago. It said, "Wherever you go, there you are."
Yeah. There you are again. So it's like it's funny how we run around too with these relationships. It's like someone will piss us off and go, "Oh, that wasn't good enough for me," and then go on to the next one, and then you see the same kinds of feelings arising again and again.
Yeah.
It's not like they go away. It's only when they're seen through that they have no power. They have no
So,
power to sway you.
so I hear a lot about boundaries, just from other women in a training that I'm taking right now,
Oh, okay.
and I'm curious about what you would have to say about that because I've learned that, through all this, there's no such thing as boundaries. There's just my acceptance of what's in my experience.
Yeah, that's just one way to try to limit the experience to whatever is thought to be the right thing for the person. And that's not wrong or anything. It's not like everyone is willing for this full embrace. They're not, and not like everyone's ready for that, you know. So it's a matter of what are you ready for? What are you prepared for? Are you prepared for a full embrace of whatever arises? It's I could say that it's awesome, it's exhilarating, and there's absolutely nothing to fear. Um, but at the same time, there is this thought process that's going on, and a lot of people are still, I guess, it's like most people want it. They want to have fear of the other.
Hmm.
And that way, if there's some self-importance there, you can make your own boundaries. You can feel like you're creating your own reality. And to a lot of people, that's what feels like power. To me, that's weakness. That's total weakness. You know, in my experience, power is embracing whatever arises. That means there's no need for these artificial boundaries. You know, it's like it's trying to protect from an emotion we don't want. Really, that's what's going on. It's like trying to protect the self from an emotion that doesn't feel right. But when there's this openness and willingness to be in a full embrace, it's welcoming whatever arises. And you know, it ends up being way easier because it's just like, okay, whatever it is right now, there's nowhere outside of right now. Whatever is arising right now, it's embraced right now. It's easy. It's not. It's the thing that makes it. The only thing that makes it difficult is this desire to be separate. And that's that subconscious desire. And that's what's making projections of people who seem to be irritated with you, and making projections of people we seem to be irritated with at the same time. And not only people, but places and things, and you know, the world at large, or whatever it is like all these things that they're never gonna go away by creating boundaries. The way they're going to be worked through is through a full embrace, and that's, you know, to be honest, it's the least popular way of looking at things right now.
Yep. That's incredible, incredibly relieving to me.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, this is so powerful, and you know, it's such a powerful way of being that you don't need other people to believe with you. You know, it's not like you need to convince other people. It's not even necessary. It's fine for people to have whatever perceptions they have of the world and of themselves and everything like that. And in that just allowing people to be how they are, there's this energy that um, is just loving. It's like it's fully accepting and loving. And so it's like the people in your experience and who come close to you can't really help but be accepting of you too. You know, because there's no block there.
Awesome.
It's like, as you notice, you know, I've had the experience too of thinking that my partner isn't advanced enough for me, right? Definitely, I've had that, and you know, the most interesting thing that I see is that the same exact energy comes back to me.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. It does. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's funny because it's like whatever is being put out there is also coming back like that.
Wow.
So it's like always just checking what's going on in the subconscious, and it hides a lot. It's kind of like, you know, one way to approach it is kind of like a game of hide and seek, because when it's arising on the surface where it could be seen and felt and experienced, that's where it's kind of poking its head out, going, "Hey, here it is," and but you know, it really tries to stay hidden, because the hidden mind is what's projecting the whole world.
Hmm.
It's all shadows. It's all projecting this world of separation, of separate bodies and everything like that. And the ego is so afraid of losing it that it keeps everything hidden. So it's fun to play with that. As soon as it
Yeah.
shows up, it's like, oh, and you know, you don't really have to like look back and look into your childhood, or try real hard to open anything up. It's really very simple. It's just sitting there and feeling it, just feeling whatever is there. Because when the mind is focused on feeling as it is, as it's arising in the body, then it's not focused on thoughts. And the thoughts about it are what's keeping it hidden. That's what keeps the truth hidden.
Okay, that's all I have.
So easy.
So much.
So you didn't have any kind of issues with the election or anything?
No,
Oh, good.
no. Yeah, I've certainly come to understand and like really feel love for every person
Uh-huh.
on a grand scale. Even when I'm irritated with them or they're irritated with me, I still understand that, that core is the same as mine.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, no. But I do work in a coffee shop, and so many people wanted to engage me about the election all day long
Mhm.
without saying it, and it was very interesting.
Oh, okay. How did that work out for you?
Fine.
Yeah.
I yeah, yeah. I just didn't engage the conversation. I just, was very, um, you know, customer service oriented. So, fortunate.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just noticed just from looking on my Facebook wall all the fear that's coming out and just noticing this connection, just feeling to love everyone up, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate having heard these things from you before because it's given me the opportunity to see that too, and so
Yeah.
that really what I see in those situations now.
Yeah, it's really a blessing. Such a big blessing to not have to engage with the facts and whatever arguments are coming up, and just be there for the person, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Even the
it's really,
people that don't care about it and want to engage about how it's all a show and they're puppets and this
yeah.
and that, and even them.
Yes. Yes, it's all the same.
Because I used to be like that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, lovely. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you so much.
Oh,
Thank you for
appreciate
coming
it.
on. All right. I see Christine just came on, so I'm going to go and say hi to her, and you'll still be able to listen in. Also, if I don't come back to you and you just have something you want to add or you want to talk with me again, you can raise your hand. You see that part? Or you can put your hand up.
Is it a blue arrow?
There's there's one where it's got a
Oh yeah,
hand. You see
I see
that?
it.
And then you
Yeah.
can also type questions to me, and then
Oh,
I can
cool.
I can bring you back on, or I can address the questions or whatever.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha, Christine.
Yes.
Yay, Christine. Aloha.
Aloha. Hi.
Good evening to you.
Thank
Hi.
you. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I made it.
Yay, you made
I made
it.
it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So what's big on your mind today?
Like everyone else, I'm sure everyone else, I just came on, but I'm sure you've already been talking about the elections, right?
Well, small kind. I had a little bit of a conversation about that with Nicole,
Okay.
and it was really small kind because Nicole isn't on any side of it, and she's not against it or anything like that. She's very very neutral about it.
I
So
have to say, yeah, I've ended up in the same place. So,
okay, okay,
um, it took a while to get there. I mean, through the whole process, not just since yesterday to today, just the whole thing in general
right, yes,
has brought me to the bigger picture of, the archetype of the masculine and the feminine, and where we are in our consciousness, and you know that things need to get shaken up, and they'll get shaken up. So,
Yeah, it'll go how it needs to go. That's all.
Exactly. There's a bigger picture that none of us could know or see. So
Sure.
we're all part of the group consciousness that, ended up in this direction. So it's all divine timing. Not
Yeah.
timing. It's all divine.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Um, so where I'm in a pretty good place. I'm feeling much better physically. Um, um, so there's a lot less emotional disturbances when there's less disturbances for me in the body. So it's
Sure.
been much easier to handle things, and my stress level has been lower since the flare up is not there anymore. So it's easier to sit with what is.
Okay.
Um, my confusion actually right now is around meditation. I know I've talked to you about this for a bit before. I'm doing Shambhala meditation, which is eyes open meditation on Sundays.
Okay.
But before that, I was doing the meditation with the eyes closed, the Vipassana,
Okay.
form.
Yeah.
And I'm alternating, and I'm finding that I'm not getting as much benefit out of either one of them because, I mean, a meditation is meditation, but I'd like your thoughts on meditation and practice.
Okay. Well, what are you trying to get out of it?
Um, I would say, what I'm looking for meditation period is a place that gives me space and awareness before I react. So to help me connect to more of the stillness of being the watcher so that I can have an extra moment so I don't go to the place where I normally do. You know what I mean?
With the reaction, you mean?
The reaction, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So really meditation, whatever the practice is, it's always a practice for the moment to moment. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's it looks like what's happening is this need to get out of reaction and really the way to get out of reaction is to go through reaction without judgment.
Okay.
So it's a
Doing it again.
yeah, I know, it's funny, huh? So
Got it.
yeah, you get it so fast too. You're like, yeah,
Oh man. Okay, the gig is up. I get it.
yeah. So it's that resistance to reaction.
Yes,
Um,
I get it.
yeah, yeah, because
Uh-huh.
it's there's gotta be the going through it, and and not having a goal in mind too. There's got to be the going through it because like as soon as the reaction happens, um, in my experience with this kind of energy is a guilt arises again right away, or like
Okay.
I need to get better at my meditation, or I need to find the right meditation so I don't react and stuff like that, and it really
Well,
compounds on itself.
not to stop the reaction, Hope. It's to notice it
Uh-huh.
and then so I can be with it. Instead of it going outward, to meet it in the inside.
Well, you're always noticing it. That's all that's ever happening. Always the noticing is always happening. It's just that there's an identification at the time as the one who is reacting. All that you're ever doing is noticing, though,
Okay.
because that's all that can happen. It's just that there's that identification, and that's why more thoughts come about. How can I be with this more? And it's really disturbing because there is a false identification that's different from what's noticing, because what's noticing is all that's happening.
Even if you're reacting, you're still noticing?
Yes,
Really?
yes. So the reaction isn't wrong, or it's not less enlightened even. That's why you see, like, there will be a reaction, um, there will be a reaction, like, say, someone who's considered enlightened, right? And there will be a reaction, like say they just learn of a parent's death or something, and they might cry loudly and have an immediate reaction. But that's why it's allowed to pass so easily. Because then the thought doesn't have any merit that comes in that says that I need to get better at my meditation so I don't react like that anymore. You know, so that's why it's allowed to just pass by. These things that arise, they're not being allowed to pass by because they're being grabbed onto as if something needs to change. Like the reaction isn't okay. And that's why we end up living through our reactions, because that resistance, the one that's saying that it's not okay, and to get more out of meditation, that's the one resisting their reactions. She lost her microphone. Christine?
Yeah, I lost you there. I even lost I've lost your picture and everything. I couldn't even hear what you were saying. So.
Oh, how fun! That's how it is living on an island and doing a webinar.
Uh-huh.
But we're back, yay!
We're back. I can't see you, but that's okay. I know what you look like.
Okay, good.
I can hear you. That's great. Okay,
Yeah.
so just to recap where we left off is I was talking about, the question I asked was, when you're in reaction, you're still noticing that too. And I thought once I was in reaction that I was lost in that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that also it wasn't to stop the energy, and then I lost you. Then I didn't hear what you said after that.
Okay. Yeah, it's still noticing, and it's like even saying I was lost in reaction, that's not true, because you can't get lost in reaction. So you're still the one noticing a self that's lost in reaction, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
you're not that one lost in reaction. So see how it's just always a misidentification?
Yes.
Yeah. And so then the thoughts start accumulating about how your meditation isn't successful. And that's all the ego.
Okay.
Because everything that comes up is part of the illusion. Remember, everything that comes up is that. So as soon as there's this identification as the one who's lost in the illusion, then that's giving the ego license to just keep on bringing on the fear, keep on compounding the fear. Because there's no one to get lost in the illusion. There's only a false self to get lost in the illusion, and you're definitely not that.
Well, how do you come back to that center?
There's no coming back even, because you're never left there. There's just the illusion of coming back in the first place. You're already there as you're noticing, as you're noticing that there's someone lost in the illusion. You're already there. That what's noticing that is there already. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And okay, so what's the question? How do I phrase it? So it's all I know it's always there. Yeah. And it feels like it's not. So I don't feel connected to it. I don't, I feel that that's the illusion too. Yeah. That there's overwhelming sadness, or there's a feeling of doing something wrong, or that I could have done something different, or that I'm stuck, or that I should be doing that. So in that space, that's not, I feel stuck there.
Yeah, and see, what's noticing I feel stuck there?
The bigger I.
Yes, was noticing that. That's where you are. You're not the I that feels stuck. That's the thing.
Right. So how do you connect with that other I?
Noticing that there's nothing to connect to, because the whole noticing the whole noticing is coming from before the mind. So it's coming from before all this identification as an I. So then that this identification as an I is kind of like a cloud, but it doesn't have any kind of effect on me, because if I'm the one noticing it, then I'm not the one in it. The one in it is an illusion. So who is there to be affected? Who's there to be affected by
Something's being affected.
that? Apparently.
Apparently.
A thing is being affected.
Yeah.
And it's just an identification with that appearance.
Okay, then how do you not identify with the appearance?
You don't not identify with it, because you're not even you just experience whatever it is. You just notice whatever it is. That's and see, that's, even to say that that's what you do is delusional in a sense, because that's what's already being done. It's so simple that there's absolutely nothing to do. That's already what's being done. It's already being noticed. It's just that there's this, the identification is happening. It's happening on the surface. There's nothing to change about it. It's allowing that. It's allowing that to be embraced. Everything is just allowed to be embraced as it is, because it's all in the noticing. It's all in that space. You are the space. That thing that wants to get to the space that you are is an illusion. You are the space where all of this is occurring.
Okay.
All of it is arising within the space that you are.
Then what's the purpose of any practices, or of doing any kind of, I don't want to call that's kind of a trap if I say that way. Then why practice meditation?
You don't have to.
You were
It's
gonna
just that's just what's happening. You know, anything that arises through the body, anything that you seem to be doing on the surface, that's just conditioning playing out. So it's like,
just meditation because it feels good.
because that's what the conditioning is doing. That's all. The conditioning is playing out. The conditioning is sometimes playing out as meditation, and sometimes it's playing out as reaction. It's all the same. It's all equal.
All equal.
Yeah, it's all equal. It's all neutral. It's the real awakening is noticing that there's just noticing.
Oh, you've just taken me to a whole nother level, girl. So I wasn't expecting this tonight. Okay. Oh.
Meditation method.
Well, I just wanted to, like, why wasn't it working?
You're so sweet. Yeah.
Because it was working there for such a, for such a long period of time. It was just really, I was really noticing a difference in my level of comfort with reactions and what was happening around me because of, I thought, my attention to meditation in my body and sensation.
Yeah. And it happens. Meditation happens. Reaction happens. Yoga happens. Whatever. But the real meditation, where the real magic happens, is in the moment where any kind of fearful illusion is arising, and just being there as the witness, as you already are, actually. Because there's no connecting to the witness.
No.
What would connect there but an illusion?
Right.
The witness is witnessing everything, and there's nobody else. There's no one else. okay.
Okay, we're done. Okay, just like there's nothing else to say after that, is there?
No, it's not. It's like, it just,
There's no place left to go. There's no more workshop. There's nothing else after that.
everything's just fun. Everything's just fun and entertaining and an opportunity for sharing love. Isn't that great?
Yes, it is. It truly is. Oh God, I hope I love you.
Love you. Thank you for calling this, I appreciate that.
Okay,
So,
I'm done. I'm done
So
for
I'm
now.
gonna go to Alana's question now. Alana's got a question. I'm gonna go to that, and of course, raise your hand, ask a question if something else comes up.
I'll be on island in 28 days.
Yay!
What's today's date? The 8th? 20 days. 20 days.
The 9th.
21 days I fly out. The 1st of December.
Hooray! I'm excited to hug you.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Okay, go to the question. Thank you.
Thank you too. Okay, so I have a question from Alana. Yay. Aloha hope. This isn't a question. Oh, good. But I just wanted to let you know that I've been feeling yucky lately, so I decided to try and just watch myself instead of acting, talking, or moving, since that just seemed like work and seemed to perpetuate fear instead of love. The thing I witnessed was that despite my stillness, I, in quotes, was still moving and talking, and I was just watching it all happen. Made me think of what you said to me about how we're never doing anything, it's all scripted. The script actually changed into a much more loving play when I just sat back and watched. So that was fun. Just wanted to share that with you. Love you. Lana, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, I don't know if anyone has any questions about that, but it's sort of like what we were just talking about, Christine and I were just talking about, as far as wanting to get the meditation to work better so that we don't react instead of just watching. This thing is actually all scripted out. It's all written as far as what beliefs are taken to be true at this moment. The future is completely written. This moment is the past playing out, and the only thing that's real and alive right now is us, me, I, right now in this moment, noticing, that witness that's noticing all. And that's the love. It's not to be connected to by anything, but that's what's just there. And being aware of that lets everything just play out as it is without any kind of resistance. And there's nothing to fight with. And things kind of work out on their own, just like they would anyways. They play out on their own, just in a much more easeful manner. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 people on with me right now. Aloha, everyone. Please let me know if you have any questions. Go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to speak with me. You could type your question in. You could make a comment like Alana did. That was a lovely comment, and yes, it is so much fun. I'd love to talk with you and take any of your questions. Aloha, Anon.
Hi there.
Aloha, you could hear me. Hooray.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just making sure everyone's there right now because I don't see any questions or any hands going up. And I wanted to come and say hi to you anyways, and thank you so much for showing up yesterday to Wisdom Dialogues in person and what you shared with the group. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I have a question right here that someone wrote in, and And that is, where is the God self in all of us? Isn't it the same God self? So is there really suffering in the world if the creation of all is in all, light and airy? Where is the God self in all of us? Now that's the one that's noticing. As far as God, you gave a definition of God yesterday. Someone asked in the in-person wisdom dialogue, well, where does God fit in with all of this? Well, of course, God is a word we made up. And one way to look at God is that it's the mind without any belief in separation, without any fear, without any hatred, without any suffering or anything like that. And it's that one belief that there's someone separate from eternity, from the all, that makes it seem like God is a separate entity. And the whole world as made up in the mind out of separation with separate bodies where there's birth and death and that kind of cycle, that's all make-believe. It's made up without God, actually. And the way that God comes back into this world, so to speak, is only through noticing the noticing. Not being caught up in the illusion, the identification as a separate person or a separate being, separate entity that needs to fix anything or change anything about itself. Noticing the noticing. And that's what brings it in. And yes, the suffering in the world, it feels very real, and at the same time it's totally made up, and it's made up out of that idea that there is separation. So yes, it's all light and airy, and at the same time there is the illusion of suffering that's coming up, and it's coming as a feeling in the body, and that feeling can just be sensed and witnessed and completely faced, and that's how it can be seen as not real, and that's how it goes away. Basically, the universe as we know it disappears, including the suffering, including the fear. It has to be faced, and then it can be seen as light and airy. That's totally not the same as making up a story about how everything is all right and the suffering isn't really happening. Because at the time that it's arising, it is very real, and it could be said that that's what is right now. And the only way out is through. So there has to be that willingness to face it. And I know we've talked about that in a lot of different ways that it comes up. And just that willingness to face what is in the moment, that's what shows that this world that we made up isn't real. And in that, there's really a lot of joy. And that's where the lightness and the airiness comes in, like airiness. I like that word, because it is like you're kind of floating. But then there's this willingness to also feel everything that arises, especially that's coming up in the perception of pain in someone who's close to us, and just that willingness to have that be felt and processed through the body temple, and not in a way of thinking about it, not in a way of trying to make it better with thought, but in a way of feeling it and embracing that feeling, because you can identify with that which has no identity, then everything that arises is okay, even if it's a perception of another person's suffering, or even if it's a perception of another person's hostility. And that's totally okay. It's just allowed to be embraced like that through the body temple. Aloha, Bob.
Oh, God.
Bob, are you there? And can you hear me?
Continuation of group health
Aloha,
care,
Alana.
dental, and life insurance plans. That's what it says. It doesn't say vision.
Okay, that one was about something else. Aloha.
Aloha, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hooray.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just got on. I thought it was earlier than 3:45.
Oh,
So,
no, sorry.
so
It's all perfect. You know that.
right, I guess so. How's it been going? I just got here.
it's, it's going awesome.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
So,
Yeah,
did you
so
have anything?
did what?
Did you have anything on your mind or on your heart that you'd like to share or ask?
Um, well, it's so have you been talking about the Trump victory at all?
Not too much, but I could. Where would you like to go with that?
Well, it's just that a lot of people are feeling like the day after 9/11, like it was some big tragedy. Everyone is suffering and grieving and angry and all this
Uh-huh.
kind of stuff. And Anon wants to have a special prayer meditation gathering here. I think I messaged you about that. And so, but I think it's perfect. I think Trump just really exemplifies what the political system is all about. It's he's a glaring example of the kind of white male patriarchy that's controlling the world. So I think it's all coming to the surface so it can be exposed and brought to the light of day and healed and transformed.
Okay, great. I'm really glad you brought that up, and I'm really glad you brought that up in that way too. Where you're saying that, say that again. Trump is something about patriarchal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the problem with the world, it's run by the white male patriarchal perversion, and
Okay,
he's
good. Okay, that's good, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted to hear from you, because that is exactly what's causing all of this fear and pain and frustration. That is a belief. That is a belief that that's what Trump represents. Okay.
yeah,
This is a big one. This is a good one to see right now. Okay. Let's look at it from two sides, because there's always two sides. Okay. Whenever there's a belief that something is some way, there's a belief on the other hand, and neither of them are true. Here's the thing. There are also plenty of people who believe Trump is their knight in shining armor savior. Okay?
that's right. All the people that voted
Okay.
for.
Okay. Yes, and a lot of people did. So here's the thing. Neither side is true. When we're working through and looking at what's going on inside, this is a belief that Trump represents anything at all. Trump represents nothing. Trump is neutral. Hillary is neutral. Every person that you can perceive is neutral. Okay? It's the subconscious mind that made up that Trump represents anything. Okay? He doesn't represent anything. He doesn't represent what's wrong. He doesn't represent what's right. He doesn't represent anything about anything. All that is make believe, and it's belief in that belief. It's belief in that thought that Trump represents something about our country. Okay? And there's even belief that we have a country. Okay? There's one thing right there. Like I'm an American or something like that. This is not true. It's all for show. It's all for show. It's all to get this. And then look at this is how the positive confused mind is handling it. The positive confused mind is saying Trump represents all this bad stuff about our consciousness, and now what we're going to do is we're going to prevail over this. Okay? This will go on for an eternity. It'll go on and on. As long as the ego is there, as long as the ego is there saying that this is this, and we're going to prevail over it. Now let's all band together and prevail over this. Okay? This will go on and on. And the thing is, it's all a distraction from seeing what's really going on, and that's believing our own thoughts about things. That's believing our thoughts that say Trump is either our knight in shining armor, or he's showing us what's wrong, right? Or he's just ruining everything. There's that too, you know. There's that belief. He's nothing. He's neutral. He's projected from the subconscious mind to make these beliefs seem real. That's all. Do you see what I'm getting at there, Bob?
Yeah, well, obviously, nothing has meaning or power other than what the person gives it. So, yeah, some people
Right.
like Trump, some people hate Trump. But like you say, everything is neutral until the observer, until you and I touch it. And then we add our programming and conditioning to what we're perceiving that's neutral.
Yes. So what I'm asking you to do in this, if you'd like to, I mean, most people want to hold on to whatever they want to hold on to against certain things, white patriarchy or whatever it is, being against. Period. Okay, that's the whole cause of pain and suffering. Is just being against something. I mean, really, what we're being against is against that idea that we're separate from the source. And it's just playing out in all these different ways. But so what I'm asking for, you know, if you're willing, if that's something that appeals to you, to really take a look at that idea that Trump represents something that's wrong. Okay? Because
Well,
the opportunity here is different. Go for it.
Well, I'm neutral about it because I don't vote. I'm not an American. I don't participate in politics. And I don't hand my power over to government and politicians or scientists or gurus or anything. My whole process is taking back the power and seeing God, love, as the one and only power. So, you know, Trump has no effect in my life.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm asking then is to take a look at this idea that Trump represents something, that Trump represents the white, patriarchal, all this stuff. Because look, Bob, if you were an infant, okay, and never experienced the world, you wouldn't have these ideas about what Trump represents, right?
Right,
So,
yeah.
so what I'm asking is to take a look at that, at that set of ideas about what Trump represents, and notice that they're conditioning. Just notice that they're conditioning. It's total conditioning, and if your condition were the opposite, you'd have an opposite view. See?
Well, yeah, you know, that negative view, it's like I said, a lot of people are like in mourning and grief and anger about Trump, and so that's just one of the concepts people have about Trump that they don't like about him, you know. And I can see everyone's perspective. I can see why people support Trump. I can understand why people are against Trump. But for myself, like I say, Trump has no power in my life for good or bad. So you know, I really don't embrace that. But as you say, one can easily get swept up in these kinds of ideas that the mass consciousness, it's what's happening. You know, there's like throngs in front of Trump Tower right now, you know, protesting. You know, you get into these mass mindsets, and that's what I want to stand back from. I don't want to be, you know, in the groupthink or the consensus trance. that's for or against something. I'm basically just for love. I'm for oneness and unity, and the infinite love is the only reality. Everything else is illusion.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So another thing is also watching, what's going on as far as all the things that we say we're for, you know, because there's no I like that. There's only noticing. We can say that I'm for this, I'm for that, I'm for infinite love and all this kind of stuff, but there's only noticing. That also is an I coming forward saying, identifying with something, although something beautiful, even the I don't vote, I'm this, that's all that I that's separate, that appears to be separate. So it's all in noticing everything. There's nothing to even explain about ourselves because there's no self like that. See what I mean?
Yeah, right. Well,
So
it's
when
interesting.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm reading this book by this guy Richard Sylvester, Words on Non-Duality, called "I Hope You Die Soon." So so it's all about liberation
Yeah,
from yourself.
yeah,
And so that's basically the whole problem is, we live on the planet of the egos, one ego against the other ego competing and having all these concepts and everything. And
right.
it, it's all just giving up. You have to give up yourself, basically, because, as you say, I'm saying all this great positive stuff, but it's still embraced and encompassed in the prison of my head and of myself. So I'm still not free.
Well, you are because you see this occurring. You notice it occurring. And that's all that's
Mm-hmm.
happening. I had this conversation with Christine a few minutes ago, but it seems really relevant right now too. Is that's you noticing all of this. That's you noticing this dialogue about an I that's doing all this different stuff. They're not doing things, or being about love and all this stuff. What's noticing? That's free. That's you. Always. There's nothing to
Yeah,
get.
well, go ahead.
There's nothing to get back to really, because that noticing is there taking place all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the key, is to just be aware moment by moment to whatever comes to the surface, and to not pursue it or escape from it or judge it, but to just breathe with it and feel it and let it pass.
Yeah. Yeah, and also noticing, you brought up how a lot of people are in some fear right now, and disbelief, and I noticed too, people are talking about feeling pain in their stomach and all different kinds of stuff like that. It's just really just feeling the compassion for all those people, that are going through it, and watching whatever thoughts come up about them and maybe what they should be doing or how it should be or anything like that, because everyone's having their experience exactly like the way that it should be.
Yeah, that's why I think the election results are great. People think Hillary should have won, but I prefer Trump. I think Trump is gonna. It's a show. It's an entertainment. This whole presidential thing. Here he's the
Yeah,
TV star. Very controversial and stirring all this up. So
yeah,
that's just it. Everything is getting stirred up. Everything is real controversial and wild and crazy, and it's the craziest presidential election in history, and it makes it more interesting and fascinating, I think, that Trump won, for
it's
myself.
it's it's pretty fun, and and watch also, and this goes for me too. Is saying I prefer anything. It's my conditioning prefers. My conditioning prefers that. All preferences are conditioning.
Right. Well, that's true.
It's so
So,
it's so funny.
yeah. Well, there's just as long as we're doing it and we're not condemning, as long as it's fun, it's play, it's entertainment, it's joy, then I think that we can have certain preferences in those regards.
Sure. I mean, and the preferences aren't a problem because they're not in resistance to other preferences. And all the
Right.
preferences are welcomed at just the same.
Yeah, I have no investment in either Hillary or Trump winning, but now that Trump has won, and we're saying it's all perfect, so
Yeah.
I'm just seeing the positive in it. And I think that the positive is happening. I think love is breaking through and being born into the world. And for that to happen, what is not love has to come to the surface and be exposed. So, just seeing that, people need to, like I was saying for myself, uh, I'm taking back my power. I'm not putting it in government or politicians or anyone or anything external. Love is the only power. God is the only power. And that's the power that I want to contribute to the planet. Although there's that little I again saying that.
Yeah, and I I definitely just heard a lot of stuff that I'd like to address.
Oh, sure. Okay, go ahead.
But now it just slipped my mind. It's so funny. um, oh. Yeah, okay. Okay, here's one coming back. So
Yeah.
the idea um, that something needs to come to the surface. You said something needs to come to the surface. What needs to come to the surface?
Well, we the desired state is love. So what's not love needs to come to the surface to be
What's not
exposed. So,
love? Okay.
right.
Okay, there. Okay, that's it. What's not love? Okay. So here's the thing. There's nothing that's coming up that's not love. Nothing. Nothing at all. It can come up that's not love. It's all love. It's our perception that casts the shadow and makes it seem like not love. This whole world is made of perceptions. Okay? So there's nothing in the world that can come up and be not love. And that's what I was really getting at earlier. It's like this Donald Trump character cannot be anything other than love, which is also neutral. Okay? It's the perception of him that turns him into something, makes him into something evil, or makes him into a savior. Same thing, just two opposites of the same thing. Okay, and that's the mind casting a shadow right there. See, just Donald Trump himself isn't a reflection of anything, isn't bringing up anything. It's the mind interpreting him that way. It's only the mind interpreting him that way. He is just like you and me. He is light and love and joy and truth and nothing else. Okay? Same goes for Hillary and anyone else that you can imagine, anyone else in government. Okay? I'm not partial to one of them. I'm saying that he is just like us as far as being love and joy and truth. And there's no way that he is a representation of anything that's wrong. There's no way that he's a representation of evil. All evil is a self-belief. It's a self-belief. It comes from the subconscious mind, and it interprets things in the world to be that way. Okay? And this is a really sneaky one that most people don't see. There's a really sneaky one. Because here's what I see here. As you know, there's definitely a higher consciousness coming out. Okay, first there's the, oh my God, Trump won. This is terrible. This is terrible. Okay, that's like probably the lowest level you can think of, as far as just being really, really fearful. Okay, and then there's another level where some light is coming through, and it's like, oh, this is great, Trump got elected. Well, he represents everything that's wrong. Okay, here's what I'm pointing out in that. No, he doesn't represent anything that's wrong. He doesn't represent anything at all. It's only the perception of him, which is an interpretation of his energy. That's an interpretation. It's totally due to conditioning. Because look at, people are interpreting him different ways. No interpretation is correct. There's an interpretation that says that he's the knight in shining armor, which of course that's not it either. There's no interpretation that's correct. There's only seeing that he is just like me. In fact, he is an aspect of me. He's not a wrong aspect. He's not something that represents what's wrong in the world. He's not anything like that. He's not anything. He's neutral. He's love. That's it. Do you see where I'm going? Where I'm pointing with that, Bob?
Yeah, well, the man I see is the man I be. So if I see these faults and problems with people, then that's a reflection of me. I'm seeing myself in them. So that's just it. If I want to see people as my reflection, then I have to uncover the truth that I am love, light, beauty, godhood, all that within myself, and to recognize that truth and reality within everyone and everything in the world, all my brothers and sisters. That's what Jesus did. He saw sin, he saw disease, all these horrible things, but he saw the truth about those people, and that's what transformed them. He didn't condemn the sinners, he didn't condemn the prostitute or the thief on the cross. He told them, today you will be with me in paradise. So that's just it. We want to bring paradise to the world by recognizing the truth about everyone and everything, and not based on the limited perceptions that would of good and evil. This is all the duality of good and evil. Like you say, some people think Trump is good, some people think Trump is evil. So that's
Right.
where we got thrown out of the Garden of Eden, the belief in good and evil, this duality, this separation. So in love, there is no opposite. All is one, and there is no two. I had this great revelation about how, like, have you seen pictures of animals like cats and dogs and monkeys that look in a mirror, and they either become like frightened of the reflection, or they like try to play with it, or they're angry at it and they try and beat it up and everything. They don't have the consciousness or the capacity to realize that that's them, that they're looking at their reflection. It's some other completely different animal. Well, I realized that this is the state of human beings. You think, oh, those animals are so stupid, but that's the state of human beings. Everything out there that you're looking at is your mirror, is your reflection. There's no out there. There's no one out there. You're completely seeing your reflection. It's your creation.
Yes. It's a manifestation of, it's really a manifestation of what you believe about who you are. It doesn't say, like, if you see murder in the world, and go, oh, that can't be me, or that is me, that makes me a murderer, or something like that. It's not really like that. It's more like that interpretation of the energy to call something evil, even murder, to call something evil. It's pointing at the belief within the subconscious mind. It's very, very hidden, that says, I'm evil, and if anybody sees this, including myself, then I can't live. I can't live with it. So it's projected outwards. So it's projected onto someone else. So in looking past that, it's not trying to pretend like whatever is whatever the person might be doing isn't happening, but it's just looking past it, looking to the source of it, looking to the subconscious mind that made it, and not as if there's this separate person that's acting separate from our own subconscious mind. And that's what equals
Yeah.
healing. That's what allows it. That's what because as the subconscious mind starts to become aware that there is no such thing as shame, there is no such thing as guilt, there is no such thing as evil, then it can't be projected out in the world either.
Yeah, well, everyone is innocent. Everyone is a child and sweet and pure and in the Garden of Eden and paradise. It's just that, we're in the human dream,
Yeah.
and we're not awake to oneness and love and light and truth. We've been born and programmed and conditioned by society and parents and education, and so it's a matter of deprogramming, of becoming free so that one can be here and now and not stuck in our heads, and breathing and heart beating, love and awareness. And so yeah, basically it's all a projection of your subconscious mind, whatever your programming is.
Let's say the subconscious mind, because it's not personal, and also I'd like to clarify that we weren't born and we weren't programmed. It's just this is all just part of the illusion. What's noticing something born and something programmed, that's what's real. Okay? So there's nothing to deprogram, because all there is this noticing. Noticing can't deprogram anything. But noticing can be aware of itself, can notice itself noticing. It's like the attention going back to the one that's noticing, and that's the healing right there. No deprogramming needs to be done. No mental gymnastics need to happen. It's in that moment of noticing the noticer.
The noticer.
Noticing the witness.
The noticer.
Ron loves that.
The noticer.
And that's what causes that healing effect. It's not trying to do anything. It's not trying to deprogram, because there's nothing to do. The noticing is in fact already happening. It's just that there's also an identification and the belief that the one being identified with is who we are. It's not. That's not who we are. We're the one noticing. We're before that identification. Or even before that one that says what our values are and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that awareness is basically the ground of being, the ground of life. So it's just that we get caught in all the overlay, and we're out of that pure presence of awareness, and everything is much simpler than we think it is. We get all complicated in our heads, like you say. I think I need to be deprogrammed and that and the other thing, and all that has to be done is me noticing, me thinking that I have to be deprogrammed, and that's the deprogramming right there.
That's it right there. That's it right there. Noticing the thinking that you have to be deprogrammed. That's it. Because once you get involved with deprogramming, you're involving yourself with the ego.
Right, yeah, it's the ego that has to be deprogrammed. God doesn't need to be deprogrammed.
Well, the ego wants to do the deprogramming of itself too, so because that'll go on forever.
Yeah, well, the ego feels it's prison and wants to do something to escape, but all it has to do is open its eyes and wake up out of the dream and know that you're in paradise already. You've just been dreaming that you're, crippled by religion and politics and Trump or whatever it is you think is wrong with the world that you're conditioned into, and just wake up out of that and know who you are and who everyone is. That it's all the same.
So here's another one. There's another one. The
Okay.
ego doesn't need to wake up. Okay?
Wake up.
The ego doesn't need to wake up. It could be said that the ego is totally awake because it's identifying with itself. It doesn't need to wake up. It doesn't need to go to sleep either. All it is noticing the noticing. That's one way of putting it. I mean, words aren't totally going to go there, but noticing the noticing. Let's say it like that. Let's say it like that. Noticing the noticing. Can you feel that?
Yeah, well, I guess that's it. It is. It's like sunshine that when the clouds touch it, it just evaporates the clouds away and there's clarity. So that's how you have to treat all these thoughts and programmings in one's mind is just let that light of awareness kind of evaporate it, and then you're in awareness when these different shadows try to encroach on you, whether it's from your own mind or from some outside force that wants to influence you, to just shine that light of awareness on it.
Yeah, it's
And
all
like
it's
you
all
say,
in
no,
the mind. It's all in the mind. Nothing's coming from outside of the mind.
right, yeah, well, it's always the appearance of
Yeah.
outside of the mind. But yeah, it's because whatever outside is just a projection of the inside anyway.
Yes, exactly. So there's no deprogramming to do. In fact, the programming can't disturb you.
Mm. Mhm.
It never causes a disturbance unless there's identification as an individual. There's identification. It's ego identification. It actually has no power to disturb you. And in fact, you can't even be disturbed. It's just the ego getting disturbed.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
but everyone's it's disturbed.
Yeah. So it's noticing even when disturbance arises, that what's noticing the disturbance. That what's noticing the disturbance is not disturbed. It can't be disturbed. It's completely still. It's the space in which all of the disturbances arise, in fact.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, that your mind is the sky, everything else is just the weather. So you're that open sky, the space in which every form and phenomenon can exist.
Yes.
So you're not the form and phenomenon, you're not the body, you're not the mind or the ego, you're the space in which it manifests. So
Yeah.
and you can create space as a space of love, that your space that's generated through your life, through your awareness, is a space of love. And
Exactly.
there is no opposite to that.
Yes. That's right. All the opposites occur within that, and then there's nothing there that's real that can get disturbed. Only illusions can get disturbed, and be disturbed by conditioning,
Right.
by
Yeah.
programming, or anything. All the programming and stuff, that's okay. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything to anyone. Okay? And there's no one to deprogram, and there's nothing to deprogram. There's just really nothing to do, because the noticing is all that can be done, all that is being done. Everything else is just an illusion. And the illusions can happen. The doing can still happen and everything like that. There's nothing, it's an illusion of doing. There's nothing wrong with it either. It's just, what's being pointed to is this total freedom of just allowing everything to come and embracing what is.
Yeah, that's just it. It's having the love and compassion to embrace.
Yes.
And love, accept unconditional love of
Yes.
what is, without wanting to change it or heal it or reform it, but to just let it be as it is. And that's what can create a transformation.
Oh, it is. It's complete transformation. It is. That is the transformation right there. And even noticing the wanting to change. What's noticing wanting to change? It's not to say you shouldn't want to change or to stop wanting to change. just identify with the one noticing something wanting to change. And then even wanting to change isn't a problem. And that's it's such an amazing transformation when that's just, and that's really love. That is the action of love. Okay? There's a misperception that the action of love is something that's done on the surface that looks loving. That's not it. That's the action of love, where it's noticing something like wanting to change. What's noticing something wanting to change? Identify with that. That's love. Because that's transformation. That's where illusions get dissolved. Let's put it that way. Illusions are dissolved that way. In that moment, it could be experienced too. Because as there's identification as the one noticing that it seems like something wants to change, noticing something wants to change, and identifying with that, that is so powerful. Because it just dissolves the illusion of a separate self. And it's healing, it's freeing. That's love. It's not something that can be seen on the surface. It's not like, okay, let's all get together and do this so we can act in love. So the action of love is identifying as the one noticing. That's the action of love. All other action is on the surface, so there's nothing to do again. Always nothing to do. Doing just happens. It happens out of programming. It happens out of conditioning. It works itself out.
Yeah, so I guess it's so simple that it evades us. And
It's
well, hey, yeah, just notice,
okay.
and
So-
that's it.
Yeah. All right, so we're up to an hour and 23 minutes, and does anyone else have any questions, or is it time to sign off? I'll stay as long as people have questions. And going once, going twice. I love you all so much. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you immensely. It means a lot to me to share this time with you, who's also me. And much aloha, signing off, blessings to all.